Hey guys, let's discuss first-time penalty abatement. First-time penalty abatement, the first thing you need to know about first-time penalty abatement is there is no statutory authority for this. There's no code, no regs. Congress didn't approve this. It is purely administrative grace by the IRS. So this is an IRS program. If you agree or disagree with their decisions, nothing you can do about it. It's their program. They get to do whatever they want. It only applies to a taxpayer who has not been penalized for the 3 prior years. So usually we will pull transcripts so I can see the history because there are a lot of clients that will say, oh, yeah, I've never really been penalized. Well, as it turns out, every time their return gets filed, there's a little bit of an estimated penalty here, an underpayment penalty there, $10, $20, but they just paid it, right? CPA or EA gave them the return. They just filed it and paid it. So usually you want to pull transcripts. On the other hand, if we're already calling the IRS to set up an installment agreement, whatever, we'll just ask. They'll look and tell you right over the phone if the client qualifies or not. So you generally ask, and if the client qualifies, you can get first-time abatement. Well, when does it apply? So first of all, it only applies to the first year because remember, you can't have been penalized for the 3 prior years. And it only applies to income tax returns. It does not apply to information returns. So it applies to the 1040 series, 1065, 1120, 1120S, 940s, 941s. They do not apply to 990s. Oh, by the way, it does apply to a 1041, the estate or trust income tax return. It does not apply to a 706, 709, 990, or any of the international forms, all right? FBAR. There's no first-time abatement for any of that, right? So it's very limited, and up until today, you have to ask for it. Now, the National Taxpayer Advocate is working with the IRS to make it an automatic, meaning that the system, if it identifies the client qualifies for first-time abatement, it would just automatically abate. You wouldn't have to call to ask, which would be really nice because, frankly, it's a waste of time and taxpayers' money to have to get us to get on the phone to call and ask about it. So that is a basic on how first-time abatement works. And I want to address something because I get a lot of this. Eric, my client has a penalty for 2017. They weren't penalized for the 3 prior years, so 17 certainly applies. It's like $1,000. But 2018, it's like $20,000. If we pay off 17, can we then ask for first-time abatement on 18? No. Because remember, you can't have been penalized for the 3 prior years. So even if you pay 17 in my case that I'm using to illustrate this, you won't qualify on 18 because there had been a penalty on 17. So unfortunately, it is the first year because you can't have been penalized for the 3 prior years. And it's very possible to get multiple first-time abatements. So non-filers that have come in and we do the last 6 years, and let's say they have refunds coming to them in some years, whatever, it's possible to get it on the first year. And then if there were no penalties for the 3 prior years, maybe they had refunds all 3 years, which they probably would have lost. They could then get first-time penalty abatement again. So theoretically, somebody could get first-time abatement every 4 years, provided the 3 prior years had no penalties. So that's a quick on how first-time penalty abatement works. I hope you find that helpful when you're dealing with a client or frankly, even in your own situation. Generally, I like to pull the transcripts and look at the Tax Help software transcript report so I can see if there were any penalties before we spend an hour of our time and the client's money on the phone trying to get to the IRS to just simply be told, sorry, it doesn't apply. All right?